Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Andrea, and in today's video I would like to talk to you about Clark Ashton Smith briefly. What I tried to do this week was to read The Emperor of Dreams, which is a collection of his short stories which were published in the Weird Tales magazines and some other publications. But this one is from Fantasy Masterworks, and I don't think it's healthy for anyone to read this book, especially in this format, because Clark Ashton Smith has many worlds that are very different, and having them all in one place and trying to get from A to Z just one go, it's too much. I think it's best that now they have published a lot of his works more thematically. If you've seen these ones, like in this format, I think this makes a lot more sense, because you have to just take it like one world at a time and be in one space at a time. Otherwise, you get overwhelmed with so much verbosity and description of dark worlds. If you don't know who Clark Ashton Smith is, he is one of the three musketeers of the weird fiction genre. So you have H.P. Lovecraft, who has these dark worlds, but they have more of a cohesive storyline. Like, you can actually explain to someone what happened. Like, there's something linear almost about his stories with atmosphere in it, and Arkham feels like a real place with weird things happening around it. And Robert E. Howard, your second musketeer, is kind of the sword and sorcery subgenre master, and he also has some dark stories and some other worlds as well, but they're a little bit more adventure style, a little bit different. Whereas Clark Ashton Smith is through and through a poet. He is a wordsmith, and you can tell that he has been heavily influenced by Edgar Allan Poe and Charles Baudelaire. There's something about the way he describes things that is very poetic, and it's a very strange vibe to get when someone is writing this in prose. The only way I could describe his work is, imagine looking at this picture or the paintings of Beksinski, for example. Instead of having someone describe to you in words what it is that they're seeing, they're describing to you in words how what you're seeing is making you feel, and the mood and atmosphere set up by these paintings. Like, he's painting with words. He has all of these really interesting names and fun descriptive adjectives and adverbs that is only like matched by Lovecraft, really. He has a few worlds or realms. So the first one is Zothique. It's the most popular one. There's a Zothique book out there, only with those collected works. Zothique is set way in the future, even though it sounds like antique. And it's in the southern hemisphere at the bottom of the Atlantic. And then you have Hyperborea, which is a very polar region kind of thing, and it's set in the past, and it's kind of north. You have like this polar opposite worlds, and then you have things heavily inspired by Atlantis. While there is a short biography of him, there's not much we know about him. He's very mysterious, and I think of the three, I find him the most fascinating as a person, because he was such a cool artist. He created all these drawings and statues. Can I even tell you about these stories? I don't think I can. Like, there are stories that are vignettes and short little excerpts of moods and atmospheres describing to you things that are happening, that are, you know, there's two necromancers doing a ritual, you have the Isle of Torturers, you have the Abomination. Like, every single story is just so bizarre and unique and has this very dark atmosphere. And the words, like, if you were to listen to the audiobook or like try to stay focused on understanding what's going on, there's something almost therapeutic about it, because you're trying to stay connected and focused. And I think this book really highlights why a lot of the weird fiction stories are snippets and they're published as individual stories rather than full-on novels, right? The closest Lovecraft gets to a novel is still in the format of a novella with Charles Dexter Ward or The Mountains of Madness, right? Like, they're still very, very tiny. But I would say for Clark Ashton Smith, He walked so that Joe Abercrombie could run. I think this is kind of like the beginnings of this very dark fantasy in a very particular way. And I would just recommend you sample him first and try to enjoy his works in tiny increments. Now, one of the reasons I think maybe this anthology of his is better, even though it collects some sampled works from each, is that it divides it more clearly, and it incorporates, like, a third of this book is mostly his poetry. And I think in his poetry is where he truly shines. It's been so depressing, honestly. It's such a weird reading week. I think it's inspired me to change the format of my videos when it comes to reading weird fiction. I've been trying to make like one video a work, and I think it's just best if I do like weird fiction weekly readings where I sample things from each author and try to do it kind of like an amalgamation of things in 1 week that are shorter form, because diving deep in one work this big or an entire anthology is very depressing to read all at once, and it's also very strange to describe. Like, it's actually very difficult to talk to you about this right now. Anyway, tell me what you think of his work and his worlds and which one's your favorite. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in a future video very soon. Bye!